I just wanted to share this message real quick. I mean, I say real quick, let's see how long we end up being here, but I do want to get this out to you. There has been what I can only describe as this tear or rip within the fabric of space-time. And I'm just seeing something on the other side, like it opens up the field and it's like, ooh, this is what was existing beyond ordinary levels or layers of perception, of perceiving reality. And I'm seeing it as the lens of the soul and some type of field that's going to be revealing itself to you or opening up, or something coming through the field. It may be information in which you receive. I'm kind of seeing it as vertex, Spirit's showing it to me as, which vertex is like this invisible accessible point. I love speaking about it because upon certain alignments or transits, it can become this destiny's gate. It's known as an electric ascendant point. And so it brings in fated encounters, sometimes epiphanies or information that often leads us to some type of, I'm hearing irreversible, but like an unavoidable transformation, especially depending on where this is aspected or encoded into the field, encoded for, your soul to experience. And it's a very particular way that your avatar is structured. You can find it in your birth chart, actually, just through VX. And another thing I was going to say was something to do with conscious organisms and some type of position or alignment that's happening, that it could be in your chart or just these collective systems that are designed to actually disrupt old narratives or an old worldview in order to beckon you to come and safely learn more about what your full potential on this planet actually looks like. But I'm seeing you open up to these vast portions of your potential. I don't know if that makes sense with the visual that I'm seeing, but I'm just seeing something like, I don't know, a portal opens up for these new energies to travel through, and it literally is this celestial invisible current that flows your way into another realm where you're experiencing a complete different version of this planet Earth. And it's the way that the universe desires to express and experience itself through your unique frequency. Anyway, the message that was coming through, I'm hearing to bring you back into greater alignment with yourself. There's so many channel messages wanting to open up. This isn't even the point. Okay, this isn't even the point. So I have this analogy for something that I experienced the other day, and the only way I can describe it is like a break within the atmosphere. And it came through in actually just a very logical way. So I'm going to read to you the scientific explanation for what it is that I was experiencing, because I was doing a deep dive into it. And then Spirit was showing me and how it translates to the soul navigating this holographic construct, and how the veil really becomes thinner, right? But it's not that the veil becomes thinner. It's that we ascend into a higher octave to the point where we're now able to see frequencies or access information that was stored within these dimensional fields of reality that were now resonant vibrational match to you. So it's like you're changing your frequency, you're operating in a different wavelength, and you're now accessing layers in the field. Or, it's like the saying of, you know what you need to know when you need to know it. Well, there's something that you're accessing when it comes to information or something. We're going to do a reading on this, right? And it's going to serve for what it is that you need to know at this stage of your journey, all right? This is what I wanted to share. It was a really interesting scientific explanation. When it's raining, humid, or heavily overcast, the atmosphere becomes much more efficient at carrying sound. Oh, I'm seeing it as sound, what's it called? Not telepathic, it could be telepathy, but the way I'm seeing it is it ultrasonic sound, solar sound? What is the sound that, don't tell me. Yeah, echolocation, that's it. So dolphins use echolocation, and it's a signal that they send out, right? A frequency that they send out that clicks, and then they're able to listen to the echoes that bounce off basically their surrounding environment, like the objects in the very field that they're immersed in underwater, and it gives them like this visual picture for what is in their surrounding environment. I'm seeing that as intuitive tides that you're navigating. Under certain conditions, sound waves don't simply disperse upwards into the sky, but instead layers within this atmosphere allow the sound to travel further, bend, and also become clearer to the listener. It's why aircrafts flying at the same altitude can suddenly sound like it's directly overhead. You can imagine it as somebody shouting inside of a cathedral versus shouting inside of like an open field, right? It's not that the signal became any louder, but instead the atmosphere changed. It feels like, in a sense, you've been given this better acoustic connection to something that was already there and it was waiting to be, I don't know, like discovered by you. I was seeing it as what happens when the atmosphere of your inner world shifts, like the clouds being your belief systems or your fears or the assumptions that your ego has been conditioned to believe about reality from the stories that have accumulated about yourself and your previous experiences, and allowing that to dictate what the earth has in store for you with infinite potential timelines that exist here. Because the human can spend so much time looking for signs or guidance outside of themselves when the information was always there in the field, but they just weren't picking up on it because they weren't still enough within themselves. And I'm seeing something around your internal atmosphere begin to shift, where as you're seated in this stillness, you can observe the intricacy and the complexity of your surroundings and the very system in which you're immersed in from this quiet knowing. And just being able to be seated inside of that power and that coherence, suddenly you become I'm hearing an open conduit, a vessel for so much more. It's not that, yeah, it's something to do with you quiet the mind so that you can listen to your heart. Anyway, sorry, I'm trying to like fix my camera around. But again, it's like you're shifting your internal atmosphere in such a way where it's no longer confirming or reinforcing some type of consistent past worldview that you've had, but it's opening you up towards so much more when it comes to your vast potential. And I'm just seeing the vastness of the fabric of space-time, essentially, and all the slots in time, let's just say coordinates of infinite potential realities that exist in the field, and then deciding which one you want to be able to align yourself towards. So I have kind of low battery right now, but I do want to do a reading for this. So let's go ahead and see what this is. It's some type of wielding of awareness where it's like, hey, look over here, something. Okay. 15 messages, Big Bang and selective shield. I love this. Big Bang is exploding some type of previous boundary or barrier that you've put up. Could be when it comes to your comfort zone. However, selective shield is also deciding what are you allowed to enter into your field. And I'm seeing it as it doesn't matter. There is this beauty in naivety. I would say there is this beauty in being infinite potential, because essentially we are all fractals of infinite potential, right? But the more that we're observed by our environment or conditioned by our environment, we stop vibrating in quantum superposition, which is literally infinity, and we begin becoming blocked off from vast portions of our potential simply from our conditioning. But once we deprogram and we say, okay, this is actually not our truth to carry, we start becoming, re-leverage as quantum beings once again. Selective shield is the awareness of the energy surrounding us. And Big Bang is literally like that field blowing up where you're accessing so much more beyond the field. I'm not sure what's coming in, but I'm hearing it feels like it's interrupting your worldview. We distance ourselves from people, we get closer to others, then we look back, and sometimes we don't really understand who we were and how we are so different now. This is like something that leads to, I don't know, vastly outgrowing maybe how you believed your life experience was going to be, becoming the statistical, like the improbable, like statistically improbable. That's what it reminds me of, like an anomaly, becoming an anomaly inside of your experience, inside of your bloodline specifically. We distance ourselves for a while, we meet again later, we reconnect with people that we've known for our whole lives, and suddenly they can feel alien to us. All these sequences are linked to your vibration. You attract what vibrates similarly in the way to you. If your energy changes, so does your environment. For your own evolution, do you recognize that it's like as you change internally, there's an atmosphere? You know what it is? there's a new ecosystem that appears to be rendering around you. It's reality reconfiguring or reorganizing itself to correspond with your internal transformation that's occurred. When you transform your subconscious core belief systems to you, reality begins rendering things into your experience to reflect that internal coherence or that internal state of being, right? We don't see the world as it is, we see it as we are. So there's some kind of disruption. It's like a blow to the atmosphere. It's opening up a completely different dimensional. That's what I was talking about when it comes to you shifting to a counterpart Earth, where you're in this world, but you're experiencing a complete different version of it. Maybe when it comes to the potential that you have or the potential that something could have. If your energy changes, so does your environment for your own evolution. Do not resist letting go of what no longer feels part of that for the simple fact that it once did. I'm hearing for then it would feel like you're playing it small. For something new to enter, you have to make room by letting go of the old. Resistance only brings conflicting energies. Let yourself be carried away by the total feeling of an absolute. Being where I have to be, with whom I have to be. A selective shield is a force field which surrounds a planetary system and stops the entrance of foreign bodies. At first, this shield allows the passage of energies whose vibration is in tune with that of the plasma in charge of the system while rejecting different vibrations. You might want to watch the solar plexus reading that I did. But in the end, I kind of said this funny analogy about these kind of gatekeepers of like of our system, where it's a bouncer who's not going to let someone into the club based off of like a vibe check, where it's like, no, it's not the vibe check, right? So it's how you allow the worldview of those around you to kind of rain on your parade kind of energy is what I would say, right? It's a reflection of how they feel about their potential in this realm, but don't allow that to be a distortion in the way that you see yourself. Don't take on the belief systems that are obstructing how an infinite fractal of potential sees themselves right now, because they're only seeing limited portions of their potential, which leads to very limited ranges of timelines. And it feels like you've just blown something. I'm hearing why you're blowing this out of proportion. It's like you're literally being swept away, way out of if you think about the proportions of something, it's how harmonic it is. So it could feel like you're just no longer in harmony with like either an old worldview, an older environment, or just old belief systems. It's like a mismatch of energy. That's what it feels like. It feels like you've rapidly outgrown something. Anyway, it speaks about once it has the necessary amount of energy for the evolutionary process, the shield becomes saturated and repels all external penetration. This is literally you, right? Listen, deep this for a second. It says, once it, which is you, has a necessary amount of energy for your own evolutionary process as a soul, your shield, right, like your biofield, your multidimensional field, your aura, becomes saturated in this knowing. It's just a state of coherence where it becomes impenetrable. Like nothing can interrupt this vision or this calling. It wasn't a conference call, so don't expect everyone to answer it. You're going to appear crazy when you're dancing to those that don't hear the music. So it repels all external penetration. Again, nothing can interrupt, like nothing externally, no external opinions. The opinions, unsolicited advice usually tells you more about the needs of the giver than the receiver. And, that opinion will always tell you more about the confession that the individual's revealing when it comes to how they feel about their own potential versus yours. It tells you a lot more about them than it does about you and the way that they see the world right now, which is also susceptible to change, than you, right? So a poorly made shield, which is, a lot of leaks in your life forces where you allow the external opinions to govern your internal state of being, will lead to an infiltration, which then causes an imbalance, right? It causes you to fall into decoherence. It also prevents the exit of energies which fulfill their role in the evolutionary cycle of the planetary system. The shield protects us and lets us know that we are looked after and not alone, managing who surrounds us and who leads us to a greater good of evolution. We have to be conscious of its formation. If there are energy leaks, check what or who is outside or inside our shield and whether or not it's tuned into our inner planet. So is this like you ruminating or focusing too much on how you're seen, how people may feel about you, how they may think about you. And is that interrupting your state of creation? Because you cannot be in a state of really, let's say, you cannot be worried about being perceived while creating. If you're worried about how your creations will be perceived while you're creating, you're going to be creating them from a contracted place compared to this magnetic force field that you'll create. It's like this environmental bubble that contains or holds this thing that you're creating inside of it, that holds this high vibrational essence that is then cast out into the field. And it goes on holding that signature, because it's not about the seed, it's about who you were and what your frequency was at the time of planting it. That's what this is. That will determine how it grows. So something is being blown up for sure. It feels like bursting bubbles, bursting through reality bubbles that we have kept ourselves contained to, and opening up to a whole different field of potential. So with that being said, I'm going to love and leave you right there. I just wanted to get that out today. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, do consider subscribing. We'd love to be around. Personal reading details are also down below. Also check out Ultra if you're looking for some high quality AAE grade gemstones. One of the proceeds are donated towards Ultra Sanctuaries. You have 2 discount codes for that in the description box. And until next time, bye.